Old Melbourne Gaol. This place struck fear into the hearts of some of Australia's hardest criminals. Bushrangers, murderers, gangsters, psycho killers. 136 prisoners were executed here, including Australia's most infamous outlaw, Ned Kelly. Old Melbourne Gaol was the state of Victoria's first permanent prison. From the beginning, it was overflowing with prisoners. Conditions were appalling. In the early days, women and children were locked up alongside men. Everyone crammed into freezing prison blocks, some 10 to a cell.
They slept on a straw mat with one blanket, so pneumonia was common.
A merciless regime of punishment, including flogging, kept the prisoners in line.
People would fall unconscious. 50 strokes would be the maximum, but people would pass out way before then. They'd still receive the remainder of their cuts. They'd be brought back, flogged again, and then they used to apply raw salt to the wounds as well to aid with the healing process.
But the worst punishment was silence and separation. A radical 19th century experiment which took solitary confinement to new extremes.
The ground floor was the silence and separation cells. Prisoners were locked up there for 23 hours a day. They never saw another human being. They never heard a human voice. They woke up in the morning, bells were rung. They went to bed at night, bells were rung. When they did come out of their cells, they had to put on a silence mask so that they couldn't see or recognise another prisoner, nor could they be recognised.
The ultimate penalty, though, was execution.
136 people have been hung at Melbourne Gaol, 4 of them women. There was officials and press, and when the hangings were outside the prison, obviously they were a public spectacle. It was a day out. Roughly 35% of the hangings at Melbourne Gaol were messy in a way that wasn't intended. On occasion, the neck would tear, the head would start to come away from the body. They would kick around, they wouldn't necessarily go silently. They left people hanging for a good half an hour just to make sure there was no traces of the heartbeat.
The most famous execution took place on this crossbeam, the hanging of Ned Kelly. Ned was the only member of the notorious Kelly gang to survive their last showdown with police. His famous body armour protected his vital organs, but not his arms and legs.
When he arrived, he had 28 bullet holes in his arms and legs, so he spent most of his time in the prison hospital.
He was patched up, put on trial and sentenced to death. Kelly was a convicted horse thief, bank robber and police killer. There was little chance of leniency. Ned was hanged on November 11th, 1880. He was 25 years old. The jail closed in 1924, but the site continued to be used as a police lockup. Many of Australia's most notorious criminals were held here. Among them, Squizzy Taylor, Chopper Read, and Ronald Ryan, the last man hanged in Australia. It finally closed down in 1994.